In our digital age, cameras are everywhere capturing moments we never intended to preserve, revealing details we never meant to see. Today, we'll explore 3 photographs that contain disturbing elements that weren't noticed until it was too late. These images, seemingly innocent at first glance, harbor secrets that will make you question what's really lurking in the shadows of our everyday world. The Shopping Mall Stalker. The first photograph was taken by a security camera at Westfield Shopping Center in Phoenix, Arizona, on a busy Saturday afternoon in October 2019. The image shows the main corridor filled with families, teenagers, and shoppers going about their weekend routines. Children run between their parents' legs while couples browse storefront windows. Nothing appears out of the ordinary until you look closer. Sarah Martinez, a 34-year-old mother of 2, had taken her daughters Emma and Lily, ages 8 and 6, to the mall for some back-to-school shopping. The girls were excited about picking out new backpacks and sneakers for the upcoming semester. Sarah later described the day as perfectly normal. They had grabbed lunch at the food court, visited the toy store, and were heading toward the exit when the photograph was taken. The security camera captured them at exactly 3:47 p.m., timestamp clearly visible in the corner. Sarah is seen holding Emma's hand while Lily skips ahead, her new purple backpack bouncing on her shoulders. Other shoppers fill the frame, an elderly couple examining a store directory, a group of teenagers clustered around their phones, a maintenance worker pushing a cart. It wasn't until 3 weeks later that mall security noticed something deeply unsettling about this seemingly mundane image. During a routine review of footage following a reported theft, Officer James Harrison was scanning through the afternoon's recordings when he paused at this particular frame. Something had caught his eye, a detail so subtle that dozens of people had walked past without noticing. In the background, partially obscured by a decorative pillar, stands a figure that doesn't belong. The person appears to be wearing dark clothing and is positioned in such a way that they have a clear line of sight to Sarah and her daughters. But what makes this image truly disturbing is what happens when you enhance the photograph digitally. When the contrast is adjusted and the shadows are lightened, the figure's face becomes partially visible. The person is holding something in their hands, what appears to be a camera with a telephoto lens, pointed directly at the Martinez family. Even more chilling is the realization that this individual had been following them throughout the mall. Security footage from earlier that day, once reviewed, showed the same figure appearing in multiple locations wherever the family went. Outside the toy store at 2:15 p.m., near the food court at 2:45 p.m., lingering by the restroom entrance at 3:20 p.m., always maintaining distance, always staying in the shadows, always watching. Sarah Martinez was contacted by mall security the following Monday. She later told reporters that she had no memory of seeing this person, had never noticed anyone following them, and had no idea who it could be. The family had visited the mall dozens of times before without incident. The thought that someone was watching my girls, taking pictures of them without our knowledge, makes me physically sick, Sarah said in an interview. We were just having a normal family day, and this person was stalking us the entire time. When I look at that photograph now, what should be a happy memory of shopping with my daughters becomes something sinister and frightening. Mall security launched an investigation, but the individual was never identified. The person wore a baseball cap and kept their face angled away from most cameras. They paid in cash at the parking garage and left no digital trail. Security estimated they had been in the mall for over 4 hours, but had made no purchases and had interacted with no other shoppers. Even more disturbing, when police reviewed security footage from the weeks following the incident, they found evidence that the same person had returned to the mall on 3 separate occasions, apparently looking for the Martinez family. Each time, they would walk the same route the family had taken, pause at the same stores, and leave after about an hour when it became clear their targets weren't there. The Martinez family no longer shops at that mall. Sarah says she constantly looks over her shoulder when they're out in public, always wondering if someone might be watching. Someone might be taking pictures. The photograph that should have been nothing more than anonymous security footage has become a reminder that predators can be anywhere, watching and waiting, hidden in plain sight among the innocent crowd. This case remains open with Phoenix Police Department, and the individual has never been apprehended. Our second photograph comes from what should have been a perfect family vacation. In July 2021, the Hendricks family from Portland, Oregon, decided to spend a week at their rented cabin in the remote forests of northern Washington. Mark and Jennifer Hendricks, along with their teenage son Tyler, were looking forward to a week of hiking, fishing, and disconnecting from the digital world. Tyler, an aspiring photographer at 16, had brought along his new digital camera, a graduation gift from his grandparents. He was eager to capture the natural beauty of the Pacific Northwest and had spent the first few days of their trip taking hundreds of photos of the dense forest, crystal clear streams, and wildlife they encountered during their hikes. On their fourth day at the cabin, the family decided to tackle the challenging Cascade Ridge Trail, a steep 5-mile hike that promised spectacular views of the surrounding mountains. They started early, around 7 a.m., hoping to reach the summit by noon and avoid the afternoon heat. Tyler documented their journey, taking photos of interesting rock formations, his parents crossing wooden bridges, and the increasingly dramatic vistas as they climbed higher. The photograph in question was taken at approximately 10:30 a.m., about 3 miles into their hike. The family had stopped at a scenic overlook to rest and hydrate. Jennifer suggested they take a family photo with the mountain vista in the background. Tyler set up his camera on a nearby rock, activated the timer function, and ran to join his parents as the shutter clicked. The resulting image shows the three of them smiling and relaxed, with the vast Washington wilderness stretching out behind them. Mark has his arm around Jennifer's shoulders, while Tyler grins at the camera, his hiking boots planted firmly on the rocky outcrop. The morning sun illuminates their faces, and puffy white clouds, the azure sky above the distant peaks. They finished their hike, returned to the cabin, and Tyler spent that evening reviewing his photos on his laptop. The family picture looked perfect, exactly the kind of memory they'd hoped to capture during their vacation. They posted it on social media, sharing their adventure with friends and family back home. Everyone commented on how happy and healthy they looked, how beautiful the scenery was, how much fun they seemed to be having. It wasn't until they returned home to Portland that Tyler made a discovery that would haunt them for months to come. While editing his photos for a school project, he was using professional software to enhance the contrast and clarity of his images. As he adjusted the shadows and highlights in the family photo, something emerged from the dense forest behind them that made his blood run cold. Deep in the tree line, barely visible among the shadows and foliage, was a figure. At first, Tyler thought it might be another hiker who had inadvertently appeared in the background of their shot. But as he continued to enhance the image, the details became increasingly disturbing. The figure was crouched behind a large Douglas fir tree, partially concealed, but clearly watching the family. The person was wearing dark clothing and appeared to be holding something, possibly binoculars or a camera with a long lens. But what made Tyler's stomach drop was the realization that this individual was positioned in such a way that they would have had to have been following the family up the trail. The overlook where they'd taken the photo was not visible from the main trail. You had to deliberately climb over several fallen logs and navigate through thick underbrush to reach it. Tyler immediately showed the enhanced image to his parents. Mark contacted the local Forest Service office, but rangers explained that the area was vast and largely unpatrolled. Hundreds of people use the trail system every week during the summer months, and it would be nearly impossible to identify someone based on such a distant, obscured figure in a photograph. The family began to review Tyler's other photos from that day with new eyes. When they enhanced several images taken along the trail, they found evidence that someone had indeed been following them. A shadow that didn't match the surrounding trees in one photo, a glimpse of what appeared to be a person ducking behind a boulder in another, a clear shot of boot prints in the mud that didn't match any of their shoes. Most disturbing of all was a photo Tyler had taken near the trailhead when they first arrived that morning. In the parking area, barely visible among the trees, was a figure watching them as they gathered their gear and prepared for their hike. The same person, they now realized, had been observing them from the very beginning of their adventure. Jennifer Hendricks later told local news that the discovery had completely ruined what should have been a cherished family memory. "Every time I look at that photo now, I don't see a happy family moment," she said. "I see 3 people who were being stalked by a complete stranger in the middle of nowhere. We were miles from help, completely vulnerable, and we had no idea someone was watching our every move." The family reported the incident to local police, but without any way to identify the individual. The case quickly went cold. Forest Service officials increased patrols in the area for several weeks following the report, but no suspicious activity was observed. The Hendricks family has not returned to that area of Washington state. Tyler, now in college, says he still enjoys photography, but has become much more aware of his surroundings when hiking in remote areas. The family photo from their vacation remains on Jennifer's phone, but she's never been able to bring herself to print it or display it in their home. "It's supposed to be a beautiful memory of our family trip," she explains. "Instead, it's evidence that we were never alone out there, that someone was watching us the entire time. It makes you wonder how many other family photos might have similar secrets hidden in the background. Details we never noticed because we never thought to look." In March 2022, college students Alex Chen and Marcus Rodriguez were driving through the rural outskirts of Bakersfield, California, when they spotted an abandoned Victorian house sitting alone in a field of dried grass. The 2 friends, both photography enthusiasts, decided to stop and document the decaying structure. The house was clearly abandoned, broken windows, peeling paint, a front porch that sagged under the weight of years of neglect. A rusted "No Trespassing" sign hung askew on the front gate, but the property appeared to have been forgotten by time. Weeds grew waist-high around the foundation, and ivy had claimed most of the eastern wall. Alex, a junior studying art at UC Berkeley, saw the house as the perfect subject for his ongoing project documenting abandoned buildings across California. Marcus, his roommate and fellow photography enthusiast, agreed to help scout the location and take some preliminary shots before they decided whether to return with better equipment. They spent about an hour walking around the property's perimeter, taking photos from various angles and discussing composition and lighting. The late afternoon sun cast long shadows across the overgrown yard, creating the kind of dramatic contrast that both photographers loved. Alex took approximately 30 shots, focusing on the architectural details and the way nature was slowly reclaiming the structure. One photograph in particular caught their attention, a wide shot of the house front facade taken from the broken gate. The image perfectly captured the melancholy beauty of the abandoned structure, with its ornate but crumbling gingerbread trim and the way the setting sun illuminated the weathered wood siding. They were both pleased with the shot and decided it would be the centerpiece of Alex's project. After finishing their impromptu photo session, the friends returned to campus. Alex uploaded the images to his computer that evening and began the process of selecting and editing his favorites. The front facade shot was everything he'd hoped for: atmospheric, haunting, and technically well executed. He posted it to his Instagram account with the caption, "Beauty in Decay, Abandoned Victorian House Outside Bakersfield." The photograph received dozens of likes and comments from fellow students and photography enthusiasts. Several people asked about the location, praising Alex's eye for composition and his ability to find beauty in forgotten places. It seemed like a successful addition to his portfolio. 3 days later, Alex received a direct message on Instagram that made his blood run cold. A user named TruthSeeker47 had sent him a simple message: "Look at the 3rd window from the left, 2nd floor. Zoom in." Initially, Alex thought it was just another photography enthusiast offering technical advice or pointing out an interesting detail he might have missed. But when he opened the original high-resolution file and zoomed in on the area the user had indicated, he discovered something that made him immediately call Marcus. In the third window from the left on the second floor, barely visible behind the dirty glass and tattered curtains, was a face. Not a reflection, not a shadow, not a trick of light and debris, but an actual human face, pale and gaunt, staring directly at the camera. The features were indistinct due to the distance and image quality, but it was unmistakably a person looking out from inside the supposedly abandoned house. Marcus rushed over to Alex's dorm room to see the image for himself. Using photo editing software, they enhanced the contrast and sharpened the details as much as possible. The face became more defined, hollow cheeks, dark eye sockets, and what appeared to be long, unkempt hair. Most disturbing of all, the person appeared to be pressing their face against the glass, as if they had been watching Alex and Marcus the entire time they were on the property. The two friends immediately began to question everything about their experience at the house. They had walked completely around the property, had seen no signs of recent habitation, no vehicles, no evidence that anyone was living there. The house had appeared genuinely abandoned and no electricity, no running water, windows boarded up on the ground floor. Alex contacted the Kern County Sheriff's Office to report what they had found. Deputies were dispatched to the property the following day, but they found no signs of current occupation. The house was indeed abandoned, had been for over a decade according to county records, and showed no evidence of recent habitation. The officers searched the interior, but found only the typical debris of a long abandoned building of rotting furniture, water damage, and animal droppings. However, in the upstairs bedroom that corresponded to the third window from the left, deputies made a disturbing discovery. The floorboards near the window showed signs of recent wear, as if someone had been standing there regularly. More unsettling were the scratches carved into the window frame, dozens of short vertical lines, like someone had been keeping count of something. The mystery deepened when local residents were interviewed. Several people who lived on nearby farms reported seeing lights moving through the abandoned house at night over the past several months. Others mentioned hearing strange sounds, footsteps, doors slamming, what sounded like someone moving furniture around. But when authorities had investigated these reports in the past, they had always found the house empty. A week after the initial discovery, Alex received another message from a Truth Seeker 47. There are others. Check your other photos. When Alex examined the rest of his shots from that day, he found additional figures in different windows of the house. Some were clearer than others, but in at least 4 separate photographs, human shapes could be seen lurking behind the glass. The case took an even more disturbing turn when authorities discovered that the Instagram account at TruthSeeker47 had been created just hours before the first message was sent to Alex. The account had no other posts, no followers, and no identifying information. The IP address was traced to a public library computer in Bakersfield, but security footage from that day showed dozens of people using the terminals, making identification impossible. Alex and Marcus returned to the house 1 month later, accompanied by 2 sheriff's deputies and a local paranormal investigation team. They set up motion-activated cameras throughout the property and monitored the location for 3 days. The cameras captured nothing unusual, no human activity, no unexplained movements, no signs of habitation. Yet when they developed the film from their follow-up visit, the faces were there again. Different windows, different positions, but the same hollow, watching eyes. The paranormal investigators were baffled. The motion sensors detected nothing. Thermal imaging showed no heat signatures, but the photographs consistently showed human figures observing them from inside the house. Alex's original photograph has been analyzed by digital forensics experts, paranormal researchers, and photography professionals. No evidence of manipulation or digital alteration has been found. The image appears to be authentic, an edited documentation of something that should not exist. The house was eventually demolished in late 2022 after the owner grew tired of the constant trespassing and police calls. But even after its destruction, the mystery remains unsolved. Alex has since changed his major from art to computer science and rarely takes photographs anymore. He says the experience taught him that sometimes the camera captures more than the human eye can see, and sometimes that's not something you want to discover. The identity of the figures in the windows, the source of the mysterious Instagram messages, and the explanation for the ongoing reports of activity in an abandoned house remain unknown. As Alex puts it, I thought I was just taking a picture of an old building. I never imagined I was documenting something that would keep me awake at night for months afterward. These 3 photographs serve as a chilling reminder that cameras don't just capture moments. They preserve details that our minds might miss, shadows that our eyes don't notice, and sometimes secrets that were never meant to be revealed. In our age of digital photography and social media, we take thousands of images without truly examining them. But perhaps, sometimes, we should look closer, because you never know what might be looking back at you from the darkness, waiting patiently to be discovered in the pixels and shadows of an innocent photograph.